Right. So, yesterday I learned an interesting fact, and it got me thinking about how we perceive our world and our sort of life and our time. And the thing was that they used to. I could be wrong here. Not wrong. I could dictate this pretty poorly, but the Samaritans used to count these 3 lines on your hand. And that's how they would count. Whereas we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on to 10. They would count the lines and have a dozen. And that was essentially their way of counting. And that was their significant numbers. 12 and 6, where for us it's 10 and 5. And to me, I find that so interesting because just something as small as that kind of does just change everything. And it just shows that on an actual, foundational level, there are differences in societies, in time. And we're so used to a norm. Like, to count those lines on your fingers is extremely weird to me when I first heard of it. Obviously, I was amazed. I was like, wow, that's so interesting. But I'm also like, that's so weird. You could just never imagine doing it. We're so used to counting in 5 and 10s. I'm not saying we use our fingers, but we're so used to that. We're so used to our round numbers being 10s, 50s, 100s, stuff like that. But for them, it was 12s, 24s, 36s, 120s. Do you know what I mean? And such a subtle difference, yet it would seem so weird for us to change that. Like, it seemed like such a norm. Which got me thinking about how we're so used to everything that's going on. We're so used to our society. And the Greeks probably had it, and the Romans probably had it, and the Tudors probably had it. All these little things. Yet you can't really pinpoint one moment where it all changed. In my mind, in an easier way to imagine things, like I've just named, do we say the Greeks did this, the Romans did this, but there probably wasn't a set date where things changed, where they go, right, yeah, it's 2025, we're going to start doing this. It was this such slow build-up over time of change into almost a new collective norm. And I wonder if you can even see that, if you can even see it in the present, or is it looking in the past? I keep hearing things on podcasts. They talk about things that happened in COVID, or classic. You hear a song, and then you see, it was made in bloody 2000 and I don't know 10, and I'm like, Jesus, why does that seem like it was 4 years ago or 2 years ago? Like, to me, COVID still feels like it just happened. If I was to guess, I'd say feels like a year old. And then you look back in your memories and say, no, it's not possible for it to be a year old, but it's what it feels like. Another norm, people working from home. I understand that's a new thing, but it feels like such a norm, and that was an instant change. But in history, it's like, when do these things happen? For us, when you imagine the internet, realistically in time as well, it happened slowly. To get to the point we are now, it happened over 20 years. But there's got to be this collective idea of like, yeah, the internet changed everything. But was it, I'm too young to know, but was it overnight it changed everything? I doubt it. I presume it was over time. And we still see these little small changes. AI right now, you don't know if it's just media, but it's pushed and pushed and pushed. Is this, this could be the new big change. Yeah, to me, from now to a year ago, in my actual life, there's no difference to what's actually happening. There's no difference to my life. And it just interests me how it's this such a gradual change, yet in history, when you look back, it seems like this sudden change. Greeks did this, Romans did this. Like there was no interchange, there was no slow progress between different centuries and stuff like that. Not saying, I don't know enough about history. It was not saying they were all next to each other, but there's gaps missing almost. And to me, it also just shows how you've got to almost have that mindset of like, it's not going to happen in a year. Yesterday I was thinking about, because I'm going away in December for a month, how am I going to post? How am I going to keep up with it? Get old videos prepared and stuff like that. And then I was just thinking of different video ideas to make. And, I've been doing this for how long? What have I learned? And I thought, well, hold on a minute. How long have you actually been doing it for? I think I've been doing it for 3 months. And I'm like, wow, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing in the timeline of things. I'm like, Jesus, that is so brand new. Yet it also feels like I've been doing it for ages. And I think you've got to look at the perspective of the timeline and say, it's going to take longer. And that's normal. It's just in your mind, everything happens so quickly. There's these big jumps. But then you can also look at it and say, but it won't feel like that long when you look back. Just like these songs that you hear, you're like, Jesus, that came out then. It feels like two or 3 years ago. And that's probably how it's going to feel. I was listening to a video this morning of mine, and I was thinking, God, I literally remember filming that video like I'm sat here now. And it was March. It was the end of March last year. And I'm like, wow, that's such a strange feeling. It's such a weird feeling for it to be so long ago, yet so close. But yeah, the norms of our daily life, you almost don't notice them. You almost don't see the change, because it's slow every day. Little things happen. Oh, we got progress here. Technology, you got a new update on your iPhone, but 3 years down the line, you probably got 5 different updates and it's completely changed. But you don't realize in the present moment until you look back in the past. And same with predicting the future. You got this huge milestone and you think, God, how the hell am I going to get over there in 5 years? How is this all going to click in 5 years? And it just does. It almost just does happen over time. These slow little wins or these slow little improvements in things. And that's how I think history was. You look back in history, the Roman Empire, as all lads are thinking about all the time, they probably weren't thinking, yes, we're the Roman Empire. They were just thinking, well, this is life, this is society. And I wonder sometimes, what are we going to be called? What are we going to call this era? In a, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess that's what, 1,000 years? Maybe, well, more than 1,000 years, not bad. But, you know, what are we going to call this era in 3,000 years if we're still around? The technical, Jesus, the technical, what the hell? The technological era. What's it going to be called? You know, because there's not one dominating country, I guess. It just fascinated me, the sort of change that happens over time. Yet when we look back, it's this sudden, and we have so many norms that feel like, yeah, that's the way. No, that's how we count. We count with the 3 lines on our hand. That's just it. And we're like, no, we count with our fingers. Each finger is a number. And it's such a solid norm that when you break out of it, you're kind of like, yeah, to be fair, there is another way. And I think that happens as well with our personalities. I think with our personalities and characteristics, we're like, well, of course I'm going to get angry now. This situation, I get angry, and then someone comes around and goes, well, you don't have to. Chill out a bit, and you go, never thought about that. I mean, that's obviously simplified. But stuff like that just interests me because there's so many norms. It's almost like, as well, you're in your own world. But yeah, peace.